Thanks for having me. Thanks for being here, everyone. Thanks, Ali, CIC, for giving me the chance to speak here today. All the work that was gone behind the scenes, it was fantastic. I appreciate that, and thanks to you all once again for staying to the end and being present for this last presentation. I appreciate that. What I want to do is I want to just kind of talk a little bit about the NRC, the National Research Council, in general, and about our work specifically. It's just going to be kind of high level, just more informative of the different kinds of things that we do at NRC, how we work, what our research is about, and even how it might possibly even work with us. A few things like that. So, as the slide says, we advance scientific knowledge, work to support government policy objectives. We work with industry. Basically, we are Canada's primary research arm. So when research is needed in Canada, whether it's for Canadian national priorities or the needs of other government departments or even Canadian industry, academia, Canadians, if something is needed where there's a research support or new innovation required, then that's where we come in. So you can have a look at these numbers. I won't go through it, but basically, just to kind of inform you of the structure of NRC. So we have what we call a number of research centers. So there are 14 of them. They're not centers in the physical sense. They're more like divisions according to topic. So 14 different topics where each research center is likely distributed over a number of locations. And then within each research center, a number of research teams. So within NRC, as the national primary research arm, the research team for cybersecurity is in fact located right here in Fredericton. So you may not have known that, and that would be understandable because we started building the team back in 2019, and then something crazy happened in early 2020, and then kind of things went fast forward a few years. So we're kind of, things are now we're kind of building up and doing more work. And so I wanted to kind of bring that to the forefront that we're here and we're doing work right here in New Brunswick, right here in Fredericton. And our primary collaborative partner, of course, is CIC. So we do a lot of work with them. And we're even physically co-located in the same building on the UNB campus. More stats. So NRC is large. Like I mentioned, many research centers, many people, over 2,000 scientists, and many others, many locations. Like I mentioned, we do a lot of things like supporting national priorities and working within government, but also supporting business as well by working collaboratively with companies that have innovation needs, R&D needs. We provide research services and technical services, but I also wanted to kind of emphasize that we also do our own original research. Patenting, publishing, all of these kinds of things as well. So we do a lot of that in addition to supporting business, like through our IRAP, Industrial Research Assistance Program, where we work with SMEs to provide support, including financial support. So that's part of NRC as well. But really, our mandate really is innovation and science and pushing the state of the art. Digital Technologies is the name of our research center that we're in. And like I mentioned, we have a number of teams. Here are kind of the main areas of expertise that we have, kind of broken down by teams and also programs that we have as well. So I'll talk about a couple of these today, so that are relevant to to the audience here. So cybersecurity and also our cryptography and privacy preservation work as well, which kind of represents two of our teams within digital technologies, DT as we call it. So our work in the cybersecurity research team, we kind of cover the whole spectrum of cybersecurity in our research, from prevention to protection to detection. So, low level, we do a lot of work in AI and machine learning, data analysis to try to, like I said, to do attack detection, anomaly detection, these sorts of things. But we also kind of go right through the gambit of also protecting, so work on protecting devices, robust machine learning, these sorts of things, right up to the top kind of human-centric cybersecurity. So right up to the prevention side. So where the human is often the weakest link. So we do research in all kind of three of these levels. A lot of it is on the digital side. So many of our researchers work a lot in AI and machine learning. And so just to kind of give you a high level of how that sort of work comes. So like a lot of this work on this type of analysis is all kind of rooted in behavior analysis. So whether we're trying to determine how a computer is behaving, or a user or someone that has a presence on the network is behaving. So in our case, especially in my case specifically, a lot of this work comes from this type of analysis done in learning systems. So this is an example right here of some data that's extracted from someone using an intelligent tutor to try to learn some geometry. And we wanted to kind of look at it and see what were some positive behavior habits of people using this that led to better grades, say, on the final test. And so we can do pattern analysis on the behaviors that we've extracted, whether this is something from an intelligent tutor, or it could be from an event log or anything like that. And then we want to try to identify things in there that might explain why this is part of that class. So if this is maybe part of the class of positive behaviors, so where people scored well, if we look at this kind of closely, we see, okay, maybe if this was a common pattern here, we see that maybe this pattern appears in data where people scored well, because it seems like we have an incorrect attempt at a question where there was maybe a visit to the glossary, and then another attempt where it was then correct. So maybe there was kind of two different behaviors where people got something wrong. Either they just tried another answer and kept going until they got it right, or maybe they went back, looked at the information, figured out, okay, that's what I did wrong, went back and got the question right. And so maybe this is kind of reflected as a more positive behavior. So like I said, we could take that from intelligent tutors, and we can apply it to looking at the behavior of different systems. We're looking for presence of attacks or malicious behavior and so on. So another example, I won't go through this too much, but more behavioral pattern analysis, looking at API calls. Can we find patterns that are more present in benign activity, and other presence that are more present in malicious activity? Other examples as well. I won't spend too much time on this. So the main point is that we can do this kind of work if we have the data, whether it's pattern analysis, anomaly analysis, or otherwise. The problem is often having enough of the data, enough examples that you can learn from, of course. And that's work that we do as well. Another example from IoT sensors. And we use various methods. So I have a few example structures that we look at that we use to do this sort of analysis. Provenance graphs that show kind of where processes come from in a log. Knowledge graphs that kind of map out, for example, reports about how attacks were conducted and identified. CP nets, where we can kind of model dependencies between different factors that we might have found that cause difficulties. task trees, which kind of map out the different ways of executing a certain task in an event log, and so on. So I'll go just a little bit into some of the specific work that we've been doing. So one example that is on the cutting edge is work we've been doing with DRDC on domain knowledge infusion for machine learning. So if you're using, whether it's ML, deep learning models and so on, going back to the example of maybe not having enough data to be able to train these properly, we're looking at different ways that maybe you can infuse information right into the model itself to try to train it better or faster. We've also done projects with CSE as well, particularly looking at triaging alerts and creating actionable reports and how to react to these sorts of things. Another area is secure AI as well. So, many technologies that rely on AI and machine learning, for example, autonomous vehicles, could have serious results if the ML is compromised, incorrectly, recognizing a stop sign or traffic lights, things like that. So security, very important with these sorts of issues as well. And also looking at a growing issue of concern, aging population, and how can we help people age in place at the home safely, to whether it's they're dependent on smart devices and making sure that those are secure, or helping them with their avoid fraud issues like this. Digital legacy as well, also important. So what will be after you pass? What will be said about you online? What information is about you in social media and so on? So that's kind of our overview of our work in cybersecurity. Moving over to another team that we have on cryptography and quantum computing. So we focus on securing information. So here are kind of the different topics that we're looking at. So kind of with an emphasis on keeping data secure from beginning to end. So it's secure in transmission, it's kept secure or encrypted in the database, and anything that's done with it, it stays in that state. So the database itself even doesn't see the sensitive information. So a lot of our work on that team is centered around that premise. So I guess just to kind of elaborate on that a bit, so looking at keeping the information protected at rest and in transit during the computation and even afterwards. So whatever you're using the data for, even after it's done, still keeping it protected. So just a little illustration to kind of situate where our work is in that area. So we kind of have two different potentially competing goals of doing analysis and keeping things private. So we have the blue individual on the left that's on the outside of the intersection, where wants to and believes they can do lots of great things with analysis and doesn't really consider the privacy side or doesn't care about it. And where over on the outside, or over on the other side, our orange individual who is deeply concerned about privacy, kind of to the point where he believes that nothing really useful can be done without compromising that privacy. So our objectives is to kind of stay in the intersection of that and get the best of both worlds, to be able to do the analysis while keeping things secure throughout, beginning to end. And okay, so just a few of the focus areas for our cryptography team: secure computing, post-quantum cryptography, and quantum information and computing. You can kind of see that for yourself, and also some particular research topics of interest, authentication and key exchange protocols, post-quantum cryptography and security. And again, you can kind of have a look at the different kind of things that we're up to in that team. And I have one more slide here. So this is just to kind of further illustrate what we can do. So this is Karai, who leads our work in that. So he's right over here. I deep faked him into my presentation. So I wanted to see what he would look like if he was in my talk, and he looks somewhat delighted to be there. I'm just kidding. So what we wanted to show here is how, trying to recognize his face. And so we have the picture at the top that we're trying to recognize, and we have a few examples of Karai at the bottom. And of course, you can tell that these samples are quite similar. It's him, it's the same person in the same situation. So they're quite similar. If we were to encode these into a set of features, those would look quite similar. And so you might be able to infer things from this, having that similarity. But when we actually encrypt it, you can see kind of the fuzzy colored pictures on the right. Those are very different and almost seem to be completely random. But yet, we can still take this fuzzy encryption kind of on the top right of the new picture that we want to classify, and we can still, by looking at only the encrypted pictures, that we can still determine that is actually Karai, not a fake Karai. And so I think that's it from my overview of our work. So just that was just kind of brief, high-level kind of things that we're working on, and I wanted to kind of sum it up with a slide on how to engage with us and work with us. There are plenty of ways. So we have internal funding programs for various topics, which are generally used to fund academic research with other universities. We also have research programs as well that support our projects, other projects, industrial projects. We have the Multimedia Analytics Tools for Security program, and also a newer program on digital privacy and security, which I have over on the right. I won't go through that, but you can kind of have a look at, so many topics within that program are certainly relevant to things we've been hearing about today for sure. So we use these programs to kind of support our projects with industry and external clients. And of course, we participate in funding programs, so CSSP, Horizon Europe, other things as well. Also NSERC and SHIRC and other national programs where us being part of the federal government, maybe we can't benefit from financially, but our partners can, and that kind of helps facilitate the work. IRAP, like I mentioned before, which is very useful, very helpful for SMEs. So there's support there, financial support, particularly when smaller companies are considering maybe a new innovation with kind of a research side to it. Maybe there's some risk or uncertainty. We can get support for that, and also research support as well. So there are different programs that help us to work with IRAP clients, and of course, regular R&D collaborations and licensing and these sorts of things. So there's different ways that we can work together. But so I hope that this kind of enlightened you a little bit on that we're here and what we're doing. I hope we can get the opportunity to talk more. If you want to know more about us and what we can do, and if we can work together, I won't keep you any longer. Thank you very much for your attention, and hope to hear from you. Thank you.